Hi everyone, my name is Shivansh, and in this session we'll talk about some introduction to artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we'll talk about only the basic terms, and in the later on sessions we'll give some hands-on experience on that. Okay, so if we talk about artificial intelligence and the term artificial intelligence, we all must be familiar about, right? And if I ask you what do we mean by artificial intelligence, the first thing that comes into your mind is that it makes human tasks easier. So artificial intelligence is something which is trained to do some human tasks, and it reduces the time taken overall. Okay, so artificial intelligence holds extraordinary potential as a force for positive change in our world. So what do we mean by it? That if we use artificial intelligence generously, we can have a positive impact on our world, and positive impact in such a way that various tasks can be automated and various tasks can be done in no time, reducing the time and effort that was put earlier by the humans. So real world impact includes wildlife protection through predictive poaching prevention. Now, poaching prevention means that if we make the machine learn in such a way that it can identify that the poacher might be in this area because the animals are nearby. So these kinds of artificial intelligence systems can be a really positive impact on the world. Okay, now the next is the challenges of AI. So we talked about what AI can do, but there are some challenges also that we face. The first thing is healthcare. So if we apply artificial intelligence in the field of healthcare, there can be many positive outcomes, but we cannot fully trust the artificial intelligence in healthcare because we don't have efficient amount of data. Okay, so the main thing that we talk about here is the sufficient amount of data. So whenever we want to make a model or whenever we want to make an artificial intelligence, the most important thing is the quality of data. And in the current scenario, in the whole worldwide, we don't have sufficient amount of data in the terms of healthcare that we fully train a model and we blindly trust it. Okay, so one thing is healthcare bias. So algorithms trained on incomplete data. Okay, so focus on the word incomplete data have exhibited racial bias, leading to unequal treatment recommendation. Okay, so if we don't have enough data, that will ultimately lead to unequal treatment recommendations. Now, second thing is legal accountability. So, if we talk about legal accountability, it means anything that is that involves judges, lawyers, and courts. Okay, so lawyers have faced serious consequences. Okay, now if we talk about so let's talk about it in two scenarios. Scenario one, that you have a case and you want to win that case, so you hire a professional lawyer which has 20 to 25 years of experience and many cases to prove his experience. Okay, so you hand over him your case, and he applies his expertise and wins you the case. Okay, now, if we talk about the second scenario might be that you want to win a case and you wanted to win in a cheaper amount of case as compared to scenario one. So you hire a lawyer which is a newbie. Okay, so that might have 1 or 2 years of experience and not too many cases. So if you hand over the case to him, he might he might use AI also to generate various citations, and that has made some various repercussions in the field of legal. Okay, so lawyers have faced serious consequences for citing fake case. Now, here comes the part of hallucination. So, I am coining a term hallucination here. Now, hallucination means that our LLM, large language model, be it ChatGPT or Gemini, they tend to hallucinate. They tend to hallucinate because they want to give you an output. They won't, verify the results and everything. So they tend to make fake, what do we call it, fake information and provide to you. That is known as hallucination. Okay, so these examples underscore a critical truth. Irresponsible AI deployment can cause real harm. Okay, ethical practices, rigorous testing, and human oversight are non-negotiable in the field, especially of healthcare and legal accountability, because there it is a matter of life and death. Okay, now we talked about artificial intelligence. Now we move on to machine learning. Now, what do we mean by machine learning? Machine learning is something we if I just yeah how I hope now it is clear. Okay, so machine learning is a powerful subset of artificial intelligence. Okay, so machine learning is a bigger umbrella, and under that umbrella machine learning artificial intelligence is a bigger umbrella, and under that umbrella machine learning takes place. Okay, so what do we mean by machine learning? Before we move on to building an AI, we need to teach our machine on various patterns and everything. So we provide data to the machine, then machine learns from that data. What all things that it can learn is various patterns and everything, and that based on those patterns it gives you an output that ultimately builds a artificial intelligence. Okay, so machine learning is a powerful subset that enables systems to learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. Okay, so we don't need to explicitly program. Okay, if you are familiar with programming, there are no if and else statements in machine learning. So machine learning, the algorithms are applied, and those algorithms, they oversee the data and they try to extract analysis from the data, and from those analysis they learn. Okay, so there are no if and else statements here. Okay, now what do we mean by inference? So inference is something what is known as the output of the machine learning. So we have trained the model, and now we want to give some we want to take some output from that. So that output is known as inference. So inference is the process where a trained machine learning model. So focus here on the word trained. So trained means that we have fully trained the model first, and then we are taking out the output. So those outputs are known as inference. So once a model has been trained on historical examples, it can make predictions, classifications, and recommendation. So what do we mean by predictions? The predictions is something that we need to predict a future value, be it what is the temperature after 7 days, what is the price of a stock after 2 days, and everything. So those are known as predictions. And the other word is classification. So classification is something that we need to classify an object or a photo based on the features of it. So if we apply a photo to a machine learning algorithm, and it classifies the animal as a lion or a giraffe, so that is known as classification. Okay, and other is recommendation. So recommendation is something that the machine learning algorithm is now recommending things to me. So example can be Spotify and Netflix. So based on our listening history or based on our watching history, they recommend the next thing that we can watch or listen. So that is known as recommendations, right? So now we need to decide when do we need to use machine learning models. So it is not that we can use machine learning models everywhere. Okay, so traditional analytics, they included hard-coded business rules, limited variables, and everything. Then machine learning came into play, so it gave us data-driven pattern discovery and handles complexity at scale. Okay, so when we have human amount of data and we need to do analysis, we will apply machine learning. But we have a very small amount of data and we don't need various analytics of it. So we use traditional analytics using if and else statements. Okay. Now we talked about AI, we talked about ML. Now let's talk about the critical importance of data. So data is the most important thing. If our data is good, then the machine learning algorithm will be trained good. And if the machine learning algorithm is good, then our AI agent will be developed in the most perfect way. So the most important thing in all this process is the amount of data, the quality, the quantity, the coverage, the accuracy, the bias assessment, the freshness, and the relevance. So if we talk about quantity and coverage, it means that there has to be sufficient examples of data. Okay, so it should not be the case that we have minimum amount of data. We should have a vast amount of data so that a machine can learn efficiently. Now, the quality and accuracy of the data is important. The data has to be something which is verified and which is accountable for. The bias assessment means that the data is not biased to a particular region or something. The data has to be spread evenly across all the domains. And freshness and relevance means the data has to be fresh. The data has to be new. Okay, if the data is new, then the machine learning will automatically learn new things in the day-to-day life. Okay. Now, if we talk about what are the types of data, so types of data means what are the types of data that are associated in data science and machine learning. The first one is structured data. Structured data means it is already stored in a well-structured form. In a structured form, it means like in tables with rows and columns and everything. If we talk about unstructured data means that it doesn't have a predefined structure like that of a table or an Excel sheet. So it might include images, videos, and audio files that are just kept in a folder. Now, if we combine both of them, if we combine both structured and unstructured data, we come into semi-structured data, which contains tags or markers but lacks rigid structure. Okay, so it lacks a rigid structure, but it contains tags. So if we talk about a tag data, the first thing that might come into mind is a JSON data. Okay, so JSON data is something that is a key value pair kind of thing, and it is known as a semi-structured data. Okay, so that was all for the first session. In the next session, we'll give some hands-on this, and then we'll move on forward. Thank you.